Hey Fabric fans, the other week Fabric Runtime 2.0 was announced and it's now in preview, and that gives us an update to the Delta Lake and Apache Spark to 4.1, and that allows us to use identity columns in the Lakehouse. I did a quick blog post the other week to say, hey, we can use identity columns, but there's a few nuances to how identity columns work in the Lakehouse, particularly with the different PySpark or SQL ways that you do it. So just to make sure go to your workspace settings, go to data engineering, data science, and just make sure that your environment is running, Spark 2.0. Most of you probably run 3.1. It is in preview, so always be aware of things in Fabric in preview. So let's have a look. So, righty-o. Great, so I'll just make sure I drop the table. Okay, so here we are. We're going to create a table here. And the important thing we need to look at is generated as always identity generator. So I'm just going to give it the default settings. Okay, so I'm going to create the table, and hopefully we'll create a column with customer SK on there, and it'll be a identity column. And hopefully we should expect it to work something similar like the identity function on columns in SQL Server. So I'm just creating a small data frame, just 3 values to insert into it, to writing it to the table, delta mode, format delta, mode append. Okay, and we should see some values in there with that identity column populated. There you go, so customer SK, but wait a second, 3, 6, 8. Okay, that's a bit strange. Okay, so let's start that again. Well, I'm expecting 1, 2, 3. Go back to here, and like the identity column, we can set a start number equals 1 and a step, or I guess increment. Okay, let's recreate that table. Brilliant. Just make sure it's empty, nothing up my sleeve. Cool, and reinsert the data. Okay, let's have a look. It should now be, oh, but didn't we just set it to 1, start at 1 and increment by 1 value? Okay, right. Tricky. Let's try a different approach. Let's just drop the table again. You know what? I'll change this back to the default items. But this time, I'm going to use the SQL way of doing things, just to insert values. Okay. Make sure that's created. Okay. Insert some data in there again. ID, name and city. So I'm not actually creating a key. And let's do this. Let's see what's doing. Oh, 1, 2. Okay. Tricky. What's going on? Well, the identity column will Delta Lake guarantees uniqueness, but doesn't necessarily guarantee consecutive values. And what's happening here is we've got a variance between the way that Spark's doing things in the SQL version and then the sort of append version. So even though there's only 3 rows, it might have different executors writing to the table, different partitions. So you might see some out of sync values, and only some of the the allocated identity values being consumed, which sort of suggests Spark distributed the inserts across multiple tasks. Okay, so just beware when you do see a surprising result like this. It's actually working, it's just not working as we sort of expected it to do. Now, like identity columns in like tables in SQL Server, you can truncate items. So normally when we truncate and reinsert data, it resets the keys, resets the identity column generation. Let's see if it's done that this time. No, so it doesn't do that. It doesn't sort of reset that seed. Okay, I guess in TSQL we can do, is it the DBCC identity reset. But no, we can't sort of do that in Delta tables. Okay, so I've deleted 3 rows again. Does delete do a reset of the values? Let's try that again. No. So yeah, the only way you can actually reset it is basically to drop that table. So if I drop the table again, recreate the table, insert new data, and then select, it will do that. Let's insert these values, see what happens when we insert these values, see if it makes it consecutive. Yeah, so you have a good dependency, I guess, on the SQL side of having that incremental updated step value used and being very consecutive values, whereas in the PySpark sort of implementation you don't. But the Delta table does guarantee uniqueness, so that's good. So it just might be out of sync a little bit. We can continue inserting values in. I'll keep on doing it. Cool. So we now have identity columns in there. Isn't that brilliant? That's a big boon for for me in the data and engineering space, because I don't have to do weird get the latest ID, surrogate key ID, and then do some sort of row number sort of windowing function and add the 2 items together to generate unique values. If you still want to do that, that's still an option, but this makes some cases a bit easier. Cool. I hope you enjoyed the demonstration and seen some of the nuances around PySpark and the Spark SQL. So go forth and use those new identity columns to your benefit. Till next time.